share my screen. Let me share my screen. Okay, can you guys see the screen? Yes? Okay. All right. So Bharat Maharaj was one of the sons of the first son of Lord Rishabdev. Lord Rishabdev had 100 sons, was the first son of Lord Rishabdev. Rishabdev was the supreme personality of Godhead. We discussed that in the last year. And he was a great ruler. He ruled the earth very nicely. And after ruling the earth for 10 million years, he said, I want to go to the forest. I want to meditate on the supreme personality of Godhead and go back like he wanted to go. He wanted to go deeper into his devotional service, right? So he retired. He went to a beautiful place called Pula Ashrama. That's the place where even the Shaligram Shilas, the manifestations of Lord Vishnu in those stones, they are there. So he was doing his devotional service very nicely. He was always engaged in the worship of the Supreme Lord. He was having tears in his eyes while he was doing a meditation. He was having goosebumps. He was crying. He was choking. He was he was an exalted devotee. Reached because of his devotion. He reached such an exalted position. Right? We discussed that last time. Then what happened? One day, after doing his morning rituals, after taking bath and everything, he was on the bank of a river, and then he was meditating. He was saying his prayers. And what does he see? There was a female deer who was pregnant, and she was drinking water from the lake. And there was a roar of a lion. And I was asking, who can make the sound of a lion? Nobody was able to make the lion sound. I will try. Oh, I don't know the roaring lion. The lion roared, and the deer got scared, so it jumped. It jumped and had a miscarriage, and the baby fell down from the womb of the deer mother deer, and it fell into the lake. And the deer crossed, and because it was frightened and it saw that his baby is floating in the lake, it was very frightened and scared, and the deer passed away. Now Bharat Maharaj said that they thought that this female, this baby deer does not have any parents. Let me take care of it. He took the baby deer and started caring for that baby deer. Remember, he was a great devotee of the Lord, right? But now he always started caring for the deer. If he had to get the dry leaves, if he had to get firewood for his sacrifice, he would carry the deer on his shoulders and go to the forest. If he's doing his yagna, he's watching, he was doing the sacrifice, and he's looking around and saying, is the deer okay? The deer would sometimes be in his lap. And he was not, Ishan, are you paying attention in the class, or you're somewhere else? Okay. And nobody will chat, right? We don't want to get distracted, right? And we want to make sure that we are listening to the class. And if you have questions, feel free. Okay. So what was happening? He was getting distracted. Instead of focusing on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he was always thinking, how is the baby deer doing? Is he all right? Is he eating enough? He was feeding him and doing everything for him, and he was not doing his sadhana properly. So one time, the baby deer was lost. And Bharat Maharaj was so sad, was so upset, saying, I did not take care of the baby deer so nicely that it left me. Where would it be? Would have the wild animals would have taken it away? Would have the wild animals, did the wild animals eat him? Then he saw the footprints of the baby deer on the in the ground and said that the Mother Earth is so fortunate that the baby deer's footprints are there. So he was thinking like that, and he was asking the moon god, saying, "Can you please protect the baby deer?" And he was, instead of thinking about Krishna, he was thinking about baby deer all the time. And one time when he was getting, as he was getting old, he was thinking that when his time of his death came, he was thinking about this baby deer. He thought that baby deer is my own child, and I'm so unfortunate that I lost my baby deer. And then he left his body. Right? This is where we did this two Bhagavad Gita verses. Right? We did this two Bhagavad Gita verses. Whatever the time of death you think, whatever state you think, he was identifying with the baby deer. He was so engrossed in that baby deer that he became a deer in the next life. So, what is the lesson? What should we be thinking at the time of death? Yes, Adav.
Krishna.
And is it just like that? Can we, without chanting, without knowing Krishna, without thinking or reading about Krishna, can we just think about at the time of our death that, oh, we think about Krishna? Is it possible? Because when we are dying, it's like 22,000 scorpions biting us. There's so much pain. And if we have thought about Krishna all our life, if we have chanted, if we have read about Krishna, if you have heard about Krishna, if you have served the devotees, then we can think about Krishna. Do we want to become a deer? Do we want to become a goat? Do we want to become a tiger, a lion in our next life?
No.
No. We want to play with Krishna, right? We want to go to different homes. And do we want to steal butter like Krishna and be with Krishna and steal butter and eat Krishna, or play with Krishna and do all the different pastimes? Be involved in these different pastimes? If you have to, then think about Krishna, read Krishna book, chant. If you can chant one round, chant. That's what most people said, right? So as you kids, your duty right now is to study and hear about study your academics, get good grades. You should do that. But also do some spiritual activities and eat good food, healthy food, do some exercise. So now this Bharat Maharaj was born as a deer in the Kalanjara mountain area. He became a deer. Now what happens? This is where we stopped the last time. But Krishna is so merciful that he made this deer, Bharat Maharaj, remember his past life. Narsimadev, do you remember your past life? What were you in your past life? Does anybody remember what were they in their past life? We don't remember these things. But Krishna is so merciful because Bharat Maharaj was such a great devotee. He gave him that intelligence, that memory, that he remembered his past life. He knew he was a great king in the past life. He was a great devotee. And he was thinking, how unfortunate. I was a great devotee of the Lord. I was always thinking about the Lord, and I got attached to this deer. Then I fell down from this position of being a devotee. Now in this life, I don't want to make that mistake again. Even though I am a deer, I don't want to make this mistake again. So what did he do? He was always repenting. What a big mistake he did. He left his mother and went back to that Pulashrama ashram where the sages were there. He got the association of the devotees. Right? He ate dry leaves, grass, and bushes. He bathed in the holy place. And he was always thinking about the Supreme Lord, always thinking about the Supreme Lord, and meditated. Right? So he went to the same place as he was doing his meditation in the prior life. So this is Bharat Maharaj. Which life are we talking about? Is it the first life or the second life or the third life? Second life we are talking about. And we will also talk about a third life, right? He became a deer. So finally, he gave up his body as a deer one time while thinking of the Lord. He was always thinking of the Lord. And then in his third life, what does he become? Let's see. He became he became a Brahmana. He took birth in the family of a Brahmana. He took birth in the family of a Brahmana, and his father was very great devotee. He knew the Vedas. His father had two wives. The first wife had 9 sons, and the second wife had twins. One was a male child, and the second was a female child. The male child was this Bharat Maharaj. And again, Krishna was so merciful that Bharat Maharaj remembered his past 2 lives. Meera said nicely. So he was able to remember that in my life before the prior one, I was the king and I was a great devotee of the Lord. And I got attracted, got attached to a deer, and I fell down. And he remembered in my past life, I was a deer. I did not get into any bad association. I was always thinking about Supreme Lord. That is why Krishna gave me the birth in this in the family of a Brahmana. So his father always wanted him to learn the Shastras. He wanted him to learn the Vedas, but this time he thought, I'm not going to speak anything. I'm just always going to be meditating on the life. Bharat Maharaj thought, I will focus on chanting and just focus on the Supreme Lord. He was acting like a madman. He was acting that he was dull. He was deaf. He was blind. He was acting. So that's why he got the name Jada Bharat, like Jada Bharat. In this life, he got the name Jada Bharat. He's like, he's dull, very dull. That's called Jada. So the family members did not treat him nicely. They were like, okay, this guy doesn't listen, doesn't become like a good Brahmana. He's not learning the Vedas. He's not learning the Rig Ved, Samved, Yajurved. And he doesn't talk. So they did not treating him nicely. But the father was always treating him nice. He wanted him to be clean. He wanted him to learn the Vedas. He asked him, okay, after you come from the bathroom, you wash your hands. But Jada Bharat, what did he used to do? Before going to the bathroom, he used to wash his hands. He was purposely doing this. So his father would leave him alone. He was purposely becoming he was showing to the world that he's a madman. Right? So the people will not disturb him. He did the opposite of what his father asked. His father wanted to teach him the Gayatri mantra along with Omkar. And he tried for 4 months, but Jada Bharat would not listen. He would not learn because he didn't want his father to teach him. He already knew all the stuff from his prior life. He wanted to just focus on the Supreme Personality, on meditating on the Supreme Lord. So his father finally realized that Jada Bharat is a madman. He cannot have a wife. He will not get him into the married life. And his father eventually died. Now how many stepbrothers he had from the other mother? 9, right? 9 stepbrothers. They treated him badly. They did not know that this guy is a very exalted devotee. They treated him very badly, and they gave him bad food. They made him work in the agricultural field. And Jad Bharat was okay. He did not ask for any respect. He was working in the agriculture field for whatever food, whether it's broken rice, whatever he used to get, used to eat with satisfaction. He never complained. He never complained. He didn't want to have any like special pasta or pizza or anything. Whatever he used to get, he was fine with it. But he had strong muscles. He was a big, strong man. Then he didn't take bath. He was looking very weird. He was looking like a madman. He didn't used to take bath. He didn't used to put proper clothes on. He just had the loincloth around his waist. And people would think, how can a Brahmana live like this? They thought he's the son of an exalted Brahmana, with a great Brahmana. He's not being a good Brahmana. Right? The people used to call him a Brahmana Bandhu, meaning he's not a real Brahmana, an unqualified Brahmana. So he used to wander here and there, but his mind was always fixed to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Right? He used to work only for food, because you need food to survive yourself. And the stepbrothers would give him broken rice, worm-eaten grains, and the grains which were stuck on the cooking pot, right? Sometimes you cook and then there's food which is stuck on the cooking pot. They used to give him that food. And Jada Bharat did not complain, because he wanted to finish his material life in this birth. He said, I don't want to come back again and again and again. I already remember my 2 births. I don't want to come back again. So one day what happened? A band of dacoits. Who are dacoits? Who can tell me who are dacoits?
Next slide. Go to the next slide.
Okay, let's me go to the next slide. Okay. Who can tell me who are dacoits? Okay, Laksha, yes.
Thieves.
Who are dacoits?
Like stealers, I guess, of thieves.
I can't hear you.
They're thieves, like they steal from people.
Yes, they're thieves. They steal something, right? The dacoits will put a gun at your head and say, give me your wallet. Give me all the jewels you have. Right? So a band of dacoits, the leader of the dacoits didn't have a child. And somebody told them, if you sacrifice a dull person, a dull madman, a dull person for goddess Kali, you might have a child. So they found a person. And they were going to sacrifice that person, not an animal, that human being. Sacrifice, meaning kill that person with a sword in front of goddess Kali. You see the goddess Kali's picture here? It's a form of Shakti, it's a form of Parvati. They were going to do that sacrifice so that the leader of the dacoits, the thieves, was going to, so that he can have a son. But that person found out that these people are going to sacrifice me. So he ran away. So now the leader of the dacoits became angry and said, go find another person. We need a person. We need to sacrifice him. So they started looking for that person, saying, which other person we can sacrifice? They found that Jad Bharat is like a madman. He's in this agricultural field. He's eating anything which these stepbrothers gave him. And he's like a madman. And so they took him to that temple of uh, goddess Kali. And the chief priest, one of the dacoits itself, is acting as a chief priest. He took up a sword, right? And he wanted to kill Bharat Maharaj, right? So that then they will offer that blood of Bharat Maharaj, Jad Bharat, to goddess Kali. Now, goddess Kali is a devotee of Lord Krishna, right? She's the wife of Lord Shiva. Shiva is one of the topmost devotees of Krishna. Even though goddess Kali looks like fearsome, right? She has skulls on her body. She has like a sword in one of her hands. She looks fearful, right? She looked fearsome. She came out of that deity of goddess Kali. She was angry with the dacoits. She took that sword which the chief priest was going to use and took that sword and cut off all those dacoits' heads. She was very angry and she drank the blood of the dacoits, saying, how can these dacoits try to kill a pure devotee of the Lord? She's also a devotee of Krishna. How she could not bear that somebody would sacrifice a pure devotee of the Lord. Right? So if we become devotees of Krishna, Krishna will always protect us. He was going to be killed. Jad Bharat was going to be killed. But he was protected by goddess Kali because goddess Kali is also a devotee of Krishna. So this we will stop here and then we will start the next lesson about what happens to Jad Bharat when he meets a king and what does he do, because that's a big part of the story. But I wanted to talk about things about tolerance. Sometimes somebody talks to you negatively, right? Like Jad Bharat was being called stupid, foolish, everything like that many times. He was treated badly, but he was being tolerant. But we don't need to be tolerant all the time when somebody calls us bad names, but we don't need to hit them. But sometimes it's okay to be tolerant and say, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Is it good to be tolerant?
Not always.
Not always. Not always. So was Jad Bharat doing the good thing or the bad thing when he was being tolerant? Who wants to say? Raise your hand. And give me an example where you were being tolerant. If somebody is bullying you in the school, is it good to be tolerant?
No.
No, bullying you should not tolerate. What should you do? Yes, Mira.
Teacher.
Yes, tell your teacher. But sometimes your mom or dad might scold you because you did something wrong. Then should you tolerate or not? Yes? You learn your lesson? And if somebody has tolerance, somebody who is very calm, composed, and tolerates, do you feel comfortable with that person or not comfortable? Somebody who tolerates, you feel comfortable with that person? Yes? So when you look at when you think about Jad Bharat, he's not taking shower. He is so bad. He looks like a foolish person. He's deaf, blind. You think that this guy doesn't know anything. But did he not know anything? Take the example of a coconut. Have you guys seen a coconut?
Yes.
Coconut is very hard from the outside, right? It's very hard from the outside, like the brown covering. You have to use a hammer or something to break it open, and then the soft part inside, the white inside part comes from the inside, and you can eat that coconut, that inside. So when you look at coconut, even though it is so hard, the very soft thing comes from inside. If you did not open it, would you think that the coconut is soft from inside? So just looking at a person, he looks ugly, he looks bad. Should we make a judgment that that person is bad?
No.
No. So never judge a person by how they look. Should we make a judgment? No. The people who were making a judgment, the dacoits thought this guy is a madman. And what happened to them? Mother Kali killed them. So these are lessons. We should be tolerant, but not all the time. Saying if somebody is taking advantage of us, we shouldn't be. We should tell our parents or elders or authorities. But in certain situations, we have to be tolerant because we know fighting with our friends. Like if I have a good friend and then he said something to me and I keep saying, then I don't talk to him, then it will ruin our friendship. We tolerate, and then later when both of the people are calmed down and we say, okay, you should not have done like this. I felt bad. Not in the heat of the moment that you fight with that person and then your friendship is ruined. So lessons for us from this story from today: should be tolerant depending on the circumstance. We should not judge a people from their outward appearance. Oh, this person doesn't dress nicely. He's not a good person. We should not make that judgment. Right? So next week, what we will do is learn the further story of Bharat Maharaj and see how he meets the other king, Rahugana. And then we will have a quiz, a book look at quiz. So try to remember this story, and we will revise the story again so that we can do the quiz. And then one thing, the shloka for us to remember for next week, as I said, the most important 50 most important shlokas for the whole year, right? We want to do that. Let me bring that up. Let me see, most important. Let me see. Let's see, the first shloka of Bhagavad Gita, we will learn that. Let me share my screen. And then I will share the list of all the 50 shlokas in the group so that you guys can. Okay. Who can recite this verse? And we will learn, this is the homework for next week. Learn this verse. Who can recite this verse?
I can do it.
Okay, go ahead, Hari.
Nishchashtra vacha dharma kshetra guru kshetra sama vedayutsava mamaka pandavashtevam kemakurvata sanjaya.
Okay. So here it says, Dhritarashtra uvacha dharma kshetre kurukshetre samaveta yuyutsavaha mamakaha pandavaschaiva kim akurvata sanjaya. So, okay. Okay, Ishan?
I already know this one.
Okay, good. So the translation is, this is the Bhagavad Gita story, right? The battle of Mahabharata is about to begin. Dhritarashtra is asking his servant Sanjaya. He's asking, because Sanjaya has given divine eyes by his spiritual master Vyasdev. because Dhritarashtra cannot see, he's blind. He's asking his servant Sanjay, what is happening on the battlefield? So he's asking, O Sanjay, after my sons, the Kauravas and the sons of Pandu, assembled in the place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do? Okay, somebody else can recite this for me. Let's see. Shlok. Okay, Shlok, you want to recite?
Dhritarashtra
Go ahead, go ahead.
धृतराष्ट्र उवाच धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे समवेतयुक्तवा मामका पाण्डवाश्चैव किम कुर्वत सञ्जय.
Very nice. Adhav.
How do you say the first word?
Dhritarashtra.
Dhritarashtra Vacha Dhammakshete Kurukshetre Samavetayu Sava Mamaka Pandavasheva Kima Kurvata Sanjaya.
Very nice. Okay, so it's 10 o'clock, right? So this is our homework for next week. I will put that in the group. Learn the verse. Our goal as a team here is to learn 50 shlokas for the year. Every week we will learn one shloka. Yes? It's a good goal as a team. Everybody likes that goal, agrees to that goal. Yes? We will learn every week one shloka with the translation. Translation is very much important. Okay? So we'll say our prayers. Vancha kalpatrubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Ananta koti vaishnav vrinda ki Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. All you kids ki jai. Thank you.